Welcome back to Brick Built City. In this video, we're going to start work finally on the train station mock. The train station is a building I've been wanting to redo for many years. It was actually the first mock I ever did when I got back into Lego in 2020. And as you can see from the photo, it's not the best. You can tell that I hadn't been doing anything like that for a long time. And it was very much the start of how I did my mocks. I just used whatever bricks I had. I didn't really think about a plan. I just made stuff from everything I had, which is actually what Lego is about. But then a few years after that, I made a smaller train station, a smaller in size because that's what fitted the Lego City at the time. But I never had the station in a place where it would link much more coherently to any train track. And so when you will have seen the first video tour I did of the city, there was a deliberate intention to get a space where I could have a new train station and link it much better with a train track. And so here we are. The area I'm going to work with is 64 studs wide and 48 studs depth. Up till recently, this all looked fine until I discovered a problem which I am now trying to fix. And that is, on this area here, I'm using a 32 by 32 plate and another 32 by 32 plate there. But what I've done is actually used a 32 by 32 here as well, which I think is somewhere like there up till there. But as you can see, half of that area is where the platform is, and obviously all the pillars which support the upper level here. And it's the same somewhere there as well. So that's a problem, because it means that I can't actually move anything in this area. It's great because I can build directly onto it, no problem. But if I want to move it to, photograph stuff from the back or the side or even the top for a better angle of some sort, I'm going to have these sets right in the way. So I'm currently waiting on parts so I can actually use 16 by 32s here and here as well. And then this bit can kind of push right up against it, but I can move this as I need to, similar to how the park mock is over here, or any other mock going in that area in the future. However, I can still proceed to work on what is going to actually be on here, because that is the main part that I'll be working on. You can already see some parts I've added in to the road, and that's just to make it look like it's under construction, which it actually is. And the first thing I'll mention here is that when I put the road down, I only had one of these parts to be going out of this area, and that was just here in this corner. Before, it used to be, the idea was that this road would be open so that vehicles would come in this way and would go out that way. In recent weeks, I decided, why don't I just have it so that it looks like it's an entrance way? Just a little road will go right here to service the station. So you come in, you go out. And I looked very carefully at all my parts to make sure I had the same pieces from I used here. Could also go here. And thankfully I did have the right pieces, so I could make that happen and it be a mirror image on both sides. So that's a good addition. These parts here, I just thought it would be great to have some little detail and possibly put trees in. I'll have to do that at some point, but that's not really the main focus right now. The main focus is to get what the building will look like from the exterior and know what I'm going to, the space I've got inside to work with. Now, there is some elements that I'm going to use from the last mock I did, but I'm also going to try and base this train station on my local station because I think it's got the right kind of width and height which could suit my building in Brickley. And I am thinking that the building will only be 2 floors, so a ground floor with another floor above. I'm not totally decided yet whether when the figures come in here that there'll just be very open space which will go up to the roof directly and just the floors will surround that area, or whether it's just going to be a completely flat layer that goes on top of the ground floor. I have got here in and amongst the bricks, which I'll move out of the way. Hopefully it's visible. Hopefully. There's some elements I wanted to include, and that is 2 of these things here. So one is the ramp, which goes up to the platform level to make it accessible for minifigures, and another is a impression of a subway, which I think works well when you can see it in this aspect, because there's got to be another way to get to one of the platforms which is not directly on this side. There's a further platform inside there. So I'll show you what I'm actually doing about this area, because there's something else I need to consider at this stage for a future design element. I built the central train station, which is a city set, a few months ago, mainly because I like the lift and the elements used there, and I'll use that in a different building. I was thinking I could use it in the station, but I don't think I'm going to use that. However, the best thing I'm going to use is this roofing element here. And I worked out how many studs are across and how deep it is. And I wanted to use that on the top floor just to kind of go around like that. And so there'll be a number of studs here which will house that roof. But because I wanted to include the ramp and the subway, I need to be clever about actually where I put these so that I can build enough support to place that glass roof. So that's going to be a challenge. But I think what I should do is when I get the new base plate in, so that I can move this, at the same time before I put the plates back on top, because it is milled, I will consider actually whether the subway needs to go somewhere separate so that it doesn't interfere with any of the support section here, or whether that ramp as well moves over either to there. Most likely yes, because it can't really go further here, because if I remove this, there needs to be another section or another section of plates here to support figures moving over to this very front or end of the platform in order to get onto the carriage here of the Orient Express. Something you may have noticed at the start of the video is this shelter element I'm trying to put in place just at the kind of center point of the station. And if I show you actually a bit closer here, I'm trying to utilize a white fence piece upside down because at my local station it has elements of its design for the shelter exactly like that. And I thought that would be so cool if I was able to get that into this station. Now, I don't have a lot of these black pieces. I have 3 of them, so that may be enough. But I have enough of the white fence to use, and I just tried to find a way to make this happen. So I used a variety of different pieces to get this effect. Now, of course, it doesn't look exactly how I wanted it to. Ideally, I just wanted this to go straight there without anything else in between, but I haven't quite figured out another way to do this yet. I'll go for that with that for now. It's not the most pressing thing to resolve because I have a solution for it right now. I just wanted to show you that because it is something that's a bit odd sticking out in the build at the moment. A small set that I have included into the station is the corner kiosk, and it fits right up to the left hand side. It's all fitted with just a few studs on there perfectly. Oh. And I think that's a nice space for that to be. It just suits being outside a station, to be honest. And it's something else that I don't have to necessarily include inside the station, although we'll see. I've got a lot of the newspaper tile elements to include either with figures or somewhere else in the set. And it does like that in relation to everything else. I've taken out the lamppost for now. I can add that back in. It will go just there. It's got the little newsstand right there. I could raise that high because the little awning here is really, really low. So that's something I may do and just see what it looks like. I've now made that change to increase the height of the kiosk, and I think that works really, really well. The awning still makes it a little bit hard to see the figure inside, but, well, that's the minifigure's problem. They still get access to the newspapers on sale. It's been over a week since I was working on the mock of the station, and as you can see, significant progress has been made. Let me show you around what has happened. First thing to mention is that I've changed around the issue with the base plates under here, which was quite a pain, but I managed to do it. So basically, I can now move the whole section here and get better views from this side, as I was talking about. And it just makes it so much more easier to work with. Now, as you can see inside, I've made some decisions on some parts of the layout. First thing being the massive staircase that goes upstairs. I was trying in different places to put it, but when I was looking at how to plate up the next floor and how figures would get up, that just seemed the best place to put it. I have changed round where the ramp goes, as I was discussing. So if I try and put this back in place, well, there you go. You can now see it's in one of the 3 arches for the ramp to go up. The subway has been moved over towards this end. This is likely to to be where I put a little cafe, although there does have to be some sort of support, as I was mentioning, up here. So this might build something, I might build something over that, enable for that support to be there. And the other support section will be here, which is actually what these bricks here indicate. That's the width of a glass roof, and it will end here. And then there's little stairs for, well, the exit and the entrance into the station. And there has to be a little ticket barriers made there. So I did have that in the previous one. Let's see if I can make another one or something similar for it there. And as you can see here, there's a bit of a tower, and I've actually decided to put the lift in that was in the central train station set. And the reason being is because in the station I showed you that I'm basing this on, it does have a lift in this part here. And so I thought, why not include it? Why not try and integrate it into it? Now, actually, when I was building all of this, it's not actually going to be really, really high, which is what it kind of is in the real life station I'm talking about. But this next floor may still come to the same height here, which is okay, actually, because it's still going to be quite big. So I've been able to utilize the function here with this cool pigeon perched to increase or decrease the lift, which you may not be able to see there, but anyway, it doesn't matter. You can see it going up and down. There we go. But the outside is where I've made a lot of nice progress. So some of this may not stay the same forever, but I kind of like it the way it is. I've talked about the shelter part there, which is still really cool. I've got other parts coming to fill that out, the whole width. But then there's more detail here. There's going to be a ticket machine right there. And that's the same as what is here. I've tiled out the outside, put figures on it. Newspaper stands, other figures, a pattern on the floor, bin, and the kiosk with the newspaper stand, which you've seen before. And that looks really, really good, to be honest. I'm really happy with how this has turned out so far. There is, well, this is the main entrance here, which is open. But what I've done is include another door here. Now, in the station I'm referring to, there is another door access on this side, or a gate, I should say. And that is used when the main entrance is closed after a certain time. So I thought, why not include that here? Now, it doesn't quite make sense for this because this is a main station. So technically, that should be open nearly all the time. But what the hell? It's a cool little element to include. So there is technically another way in, and it could just be used as another way into the station there. It does have these little glass pieces to see through into the lift. And that is where we're up to with the train station so far. Trust me, this has taken a lot of time and effort to get to this point, but it is progressing. As with anything with Lego Mox, it does take time. But next, what I'm going to do in the next video is work more on the actual interior here of what will be included, especially what will go into these areas here. So it's building up a lot of the walls around the sides of the station, but also trying to work on what's going to be on the inside. And I do have lots of different elements to include there, but I do have to be conscious of making sure that the whole structure works with what's going to go above it and at the back later on. But thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.